Hi there, and thanks for watching. If you like the content of this video, please like and subscribe. Hi guys, it's Jonathan. Today I'm going to go over my roadmap to becoming a developer, which are some basic tips and tricks to get started in tech, because I know how daunting it is to think about changing your career and then not really have any sort of like guidelines for what you should actually do to start seeing if whether you want to become a developer or if this kind of job is right for you. So this is a roadmap for people who are totally like at zero, right? You use your computer for email, you might share photos, you might listen to music, but you don't use your computer for really anything other than that. So it's for people who are completely and utterly non-technical. How can you transition from being just a normal user of Windows or a Mac to actually becoming a developer? And what are some pitfalls? So I've kind of like condensed them in this little infographic to kind of help people get their start, figure out where to begin. So the first, number one, is develop basic computer skills. And this is the one I think that people overlook. They get to a boot camp or they start a program and they don't realize that they're not actually very good typers. They don't know how to use the File Explorer in Windows or a Mac. They don't even know what those things are. They don't know about the basic of the command line. They've never used it before. And I understand that. Like if you're a normal Windows user, you don't use the command line for most things because why would you? I mean, it makes sense. It's usually for doing specialized things. But if you're going to become technical, if your mindset is, okay, I'm going to stop being what I used to be, and I'm going to become technical, I'm going to do something new, then you've got to have the attitude that you're going to actually look at your computer in a different way. It is no longer just the magic box that sends puppy photos. It is the thing that actually is going to help you do your craft to like make programs that people will use and enjoy. So you want to get comfortable with like the keyboard shortcuts. You want to be able to type 40 to 65 words per minute. There's plenty of online sites that can help you practice typing and actually record how fast you type. So you don't want to be sitting there hunting and pecking while you're trying to code. It is really not a good look. All right, so that's number one. So that's kind of the pre-work. That's before you like really begin with anything. Then when you really start to want to learn how to program, then we can start with the basics of the basics, which is basically like for loops, while loops, if statements, the different variable types. Those are the things you want to get started with. And it really doesn't really matter what language you choose, right? C Sharp has variables, JavaScript has variables, Python has variables. The way they handle them is different, but like at the end of the day, it's the same concept. For loops and while loops, same concept. Program flow, like if statements, if else if, those sorts of things. Same idea. All right, so you're going to pick a language, right? So you're going to be like, okay, I want to do Python, I want to do C Sharp, I want to do JavaScript. Don't like agonize over picking your language either. My biggest recommendation is just pick one and go with it. Try it for a little bit, see if you like it, and then if you feel comfortable, just go with it. Because after you become a developer for like a year or two, you'll pick up like another language, and then maybe 3 or 4 years in, you'll pick up another language. So like don't get too hung up on which language you're going to start off with. People spend a lot of time trying to figure out what language they want to do because they really want to nail down their job once they get into the market. But what you'll find is that you have to use a combination of languages a lot of times in your job. So trying to agonize over which one you want to do is not really, I wouldn't spend too much time on that decision. Just pick one, go with it. You want to learn variables, for loops, while loops, and if statements. That's like the very, very fundamental things you need to understand because that's how a computer actually controls the way in which a program flows. Next thing is data structures and very basic stuff. You don't need to know what a balanced binary tree is. You don't need to know a lot of these like more specialized things. You do need to understand that you represent the real world with data. People sitting in line at the DMV office can be represented with data. Customers who purchase orders at our website can be represented with data. How do we do that? What are some techniques we can use to do that? The simplest data structures are usually lists and dictionaries, and most the programming languages, if you pick like JavaScript or C Sharp, they'll have lists, they'll have arrays, right? They'll have dictionaries, or they might be called hash maps, right? Doesn't matter the name. They're basically ways to organize information in such a way that we can solve a problem. So it's very important that you get the basics of data structures, okay? Just I said focus on lists and dictionaries. I find for beginners that's the most accessible. After that, you can get into you can go wild. You can start to specialize, but at the very least, you need to start thinking about the world in terms of data. Okay, number 4, object-oriented programming. All right, so yes, there's functional programming out there. And for me, I don't care which one I use, but object-oriented programming has pretty much dominated the industry for decades. So you need to start learning the basics of it. I don't expect you to be a master after a few weeks. I expect you to basically just get started with it, be introduced to it. The main thing to focus on will be inheritance. Okay, understanding what inheritance is and how it works. Okay, and then if you're feeling really good about yourself, you can do polymorphism. All right, but there's four basic principles. You need to know how they're used in the language that you're working with. All right, so this is where the languages start to become a little bit different. I mean, very in the way that you do certain things. Okay, but these ideas of like inheritance and encapsulation, abstraction, etc., they carry over. So even if 2 years from now you switch languages, you'll still be able to take these fundamentals and bring them over into a different arena. All right, number 5 is building your first major project. All right, it's really important that you take the steps 1 through 4 and actually apply them to something of like a program that actually performs some sort of like function. What I mean by that is it's cool to like learn if statements. It's cool to know that C# is statically typed. It's really cool to understand what polymorphism is. But none of that matters if you don't solve a problem. That's the entire point of engineering. Engineering is about solving a problem, taking a real world thing that people need and using a computer to like make it better, right? So pick a small project. It could be like a guessing game. Maybe you want to do like a text adventure fantasy game. Maybe you want to do an online shopping cart. Maybe you want to do, there's all sorts of little small apps you can do. My biggest thing is make it something where it's not like all encompassing. Like, for example, if you want to make a Facebook clone, I'm going to say at this stage, like right at the beginning of being a developer, that might be a little bit out of the question, but I don't want to like tell you what to do or what not to do. Right? So try to find a small project, something where you feel you can be successful in like maybe like a week or two, and then use all the previous skills. So the idea of data structures, okay, the basics of the programming language and control flow, doing everything in an object-oriented way, and then you'll see how the previous steps sort of like meld to actually solve a problem, right? This is a good start. I think you can get through steps 1 through 5 in about a month to 2 months, depending on your schedule. Okay, no pressure. All right, that's one of the biggest things is people put too much pressure on themselves. This is a gradual, lengthy process. All right, you're reforming your brain. You are starting from zero. You are learning new ways to think about things. So that's going to take some time, right? Just be patient with yourself. And the point is to learn fundamental skills. All right. What I mean by that is you want to know what a for loop is used for, how to construct it, what a while loop is used for, how to use if statements, how to think about user input. It doesn't matter if you're doing Python or JavaScript. Those same basic fundamental skills are going to apply. And guess what? It'll make you a good programmer. Okay, so you'll be able to make programs that are solid, they work, people can depend on them, and you'll be a good engineer. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. All right, so these are my roadmap for becoming a developer. Again, watch this channel and like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. I am here to try to help people transition from their old lives into tech, because I did it myself, and hopefully this will help someone out there.